Today we're going to talk about the midpoint. The midpoint is the middle of a segment. To get the middle of something, you find the average. If we have two endpoints, we just add up our two x values and divide by 2. That's how you find the average of something. You add up the values and you divide by how many there are. To find the middle of the y's, you add up the two y's and you divide by 2. So for this first example, we need the coordinates of our points. So this point has the coordinate -1, -1, and then this point has the coordinate -5, -5. This is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2. So to get the middle, I do -1 plus -5, and I divide by 2. -1 plus -5 is -6. -6 divided by 2 is -3. Now I find my y values. Now since I'm adding the same numbers together for my y's in this case, my middle becomes -3, -3. And it's a good idea to just plot it and see if it makes sense. That looks like it's the middle of that segment, so that's correct. Okay, if we look at number 2, the coordinates for this point are -5, +5, so this is going to be my x1, y1. The coordinates for this point are 2 and -5, so this is going to be my x2 and my y2. So when I find my middle, I'm taking x1 plus x2 and dividing by 2. That gives me -3 over 2, which gives me -1.5. For my y's, I'm going to have 5 plus -5 divided by 2 gives me 0 over 2, and 0 divided by anything is 0. If I sketch this, -1.50, it's right here, and that looks like it's the middle. Okay. If we have just a segment that's horizontal or vertical, I can use the formula, or I could just count. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces, so the distance is 6. So my halfway point would be right here, 3 on each side. The coordinates are -1, +2. If I used my formula to figure it out, I would have gotten the same answer. Okay, so those are examples of how to find the midpoint on the front. And then if you go to the back, we have this section where we don't have a picture, but it's the same formula. So let's do one where we have some decimals. We have x1, y1, x2, y2, and it's going to be our same process. We add our x values together and divide by 2. So if I add these up, I have -5.1, and you can use your calculator, plus 1.4. That gives us a -3.7, and I'm going to divide that by 2. So I get -1.85. Then I'm going to do the y's. -2 plus 1.7, and I need to divide by 2. So in the top, I'm going to have -2 plus 1.7 gives me -0.3, and then divide by 2, I get -0.15. So my coordinates are -1.85, comma, -0.15. Okay. For the examples for 21 through 26, it's a little bit different. We're given an endpoint and the midpoint, and we have to find the other end. So this one's a little bit different of a process. We have an end, the middle, and we need the other end that we don't know. So I think the easiest way to figure this out is to figure out how many spaces you're counting between -1 and -9. So if I'm at -1, how do I get to -9? I have to subtract 8. So if I have to subtract 8 again, that's going to give me -17. How do I get from 9 to -10? I'd have to subtract 19. So then I'd have to subtract 19 again. Because if I get from one end to the middle, I'd have to go to the same distance from the middle to the other end. So if I subtract 19 again, I'm at negative 29. Okay, we're going to do another one. So this is the middle at negative 10, negative 2, and then we need the other end. So how do I get from 5 to negative 10? I subtract 15. Subtract 15 again puts me at negative 25. How do I get from 2 to negative 2? I subtract 4. So if I subtract 4 again, that puts me at negative 6. Okay, so that's one way to do those problems. You don't need to worry about 27 and 28.